Chapter 2. Biological Classification, Part 1. Since the dawn of civilization, there have been many attempts to class living organisms. It was done instinctively, not using criteria that we scientific but born out of a need to use organisms for our own use: food, shelter and clothing. Aristotle was the earliest to attempt a most scientific basis for classification. He used simple morphological to classify plants into trees, shrubs and herbs. He also divided animae into two groups, those which had red blood, and in Linnaeus' time a two-kingdom system of classification. Plantae and Animalia kingdoms was developed that included plants and animals respectively. This system did not distinguish between the eukaryotes and prokaryotes, unicellular and multicellular organism, green and photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic fung organisms. Classification of organisms into plants and animals was easy done and was easy to understand, but a large number of organisms did not fall into either category. Hence the two-kingdom classification used for a long time was found inadequate for including other characteristics like cell structure, nature of wall, mode of nutrition, habitat, methods of reproduction, evolutionary relationships, etc. Classification systems for the living organisms have hence undergone several changes. Animal kingdoms have been a constant under all different systems. The understanding of what groups/organisms be included under these kingdoms have been changing. The number and nature of other kingdoms have also been understood differently by different scientists over the time.
Chapter 2, Biological Classification, Part 2. R. H. Whitaker, 1969, proposed a five-kingdom classification. The main criteria for classification used by him include cell structure, body organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, and phylogenetic relationships. The three-domain system has also been comparative account of different characteristics into two domains, of the five kingdoms, leaving the remaining eukaryotic kingdoms in the third domain and thereby a six-kingdom classification. You will learn about this system in detail at higher classes. Let us look at this five-kingdom classification to understand the issues and considerations that influence the classification system. Earlier classification systems included bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi. The character that unified this whole kingdom was that all the organisms included had a cell wall in their cells. This placed together groups which widely differed in other characteristics. It brought together the prokaryotic bacteria and the blue-green algae, cyanobacteria. It also grouped other groups which were eukaryotic organisms and the multicellular ones. Say, for example, Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra were placed together under algae. The classification did not differentiate between the heterotrophic group, fungi, and the autotrophic green plants, though they also showed a characteristic difference in their wall's composition. The fungi had chitin.
Biological Classification, Part 3. In their walls, while the green plants had a cellulosic cell wall. When such characteristics were considered, the fungi were placed in a separate kingdom, Kingdom Fungi. All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under Kingdom Monera, and the unicellular eukaryotic organism placed in algae within Protista, and but having cell walls, with Paramecium and Amoeba, which were put together in the animal kingdom, which classifications were placed in different kingdoms. They happened because the criteria for classification changed. This kind changes will take place in future too, depending on the improvement in understanding of the classification system, evolutionary relationships, not only the morphological, physiological, and reproductive similarities, but is also phylogenetic. In this chapter, we will study characteristics of kingdoms, Monera, Protista, and fungi of the Whitaker system of classification. The kingdoms Plantae and Animalia, commonly referred to as plant and animal kingdoms, respectively, will be dealt separately in chapters 3 and 4.
Biological Classification, Part 4, Point 1, Kingdom Monera. 2.1. Bacteria are the sole members of the Kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganisms. They also live in extreme habitats. Seas such as hot springs, bacteria deserts, are present in a handful of deep oceans where very few other life forms can survive. Though the bacterial structure is very simple, they are very complex in behavior compared to many other organisms. Bacteria as a group show the most extensive metabolic diversity. Some of the bacteria are autotrophic. They synthesize their own food from inorganic substrates. They may be photosynthetic autotrophic or chemosynthetic autotrophic. The vast majority of bacteria are heterotrophs. They depend on other organisms or on dead organic matter for food.
Biological classification, Part 5.1.1 Archaebacteria. These bacteria are special since they live in some of the most harsh habitats, such as extreme salty areas, halophiles, hot springs, thermoacidophiles. Feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. Methanogens are present in the gut from other bacteria in having a different cell buffer structure, and they are responsible for the production of methane, biogas, from the dung of these animals.